Well, hello there. It has been a little bit. Um, so I've been kind of just completely rearranging my room. As you can see, I'm not done. There's an awful lot of clutter still in here. But it's a heck of a lot better than it was. I can actually use the desk now. The other desk got broken. I just haven't gotten around to fixing it yet. It's a pretty easy fix. Basically, what happened here was if you can see down there, basically the other keyboard tray rail got pulled out of the plywood, and it just needs to be. I'm just gonna move both rails down about an inch, and it should be fine. But I just haven't done it yet. Anyway, so I started rearranging my room purely because I realized it's a horrible use of space, and I couldn't use any of my desks or even walk around the place. Um, I had a bookshelf full of things that I couldn't get to. Now it's a bookshelf full of things that I can get to and that I will get to and will spend a lot of time using. And also, I have that quarantine hair going on. I haven't gotten a haircut in honestly, I'd be scared to know how long. I don't like the way it looks, I don't like the way it feels, but there's not really another option right now. Um, so, now that I've at least gotten quite a bit of progress on rearranging my room and everything, I decided, well, I got a lot of time on my hands and my school was basically completely canceled. I'll open some things back up and start messing around with some stuff. And I pulled out the Pentium 1, and of course, it was actually just the way I left it. I had forgotten that I'd left it in any way, but I plugged it in, turned it on, Windows 95 booted up, no issues at all. I had only turned it on, honestly, to put a 2.1 gig Western Digital hard drive in there that I'd found. It's a lot better of a hard drive than what I originally had in there, which was a slightly less era-appropriate 3.4 gig Quantum Fireball that was about to die, I think. So, now it's running something that is era-appropriate and era-appropriately loud and obnoxious, but I like the sound, so it's whatever. And I, of course, hooked it up. It just worked beautifully. It booted Windows 95. It booted Windows 95. There's actually nothing on it because I just left it empty, ready to be used whenever I next wanted to. As for my 486, well, that's the one that I thought I had left in working order, and I ended up opening a whole new weird can of worms with that. And honestly, I wasn't planning on filming this. I was really planning on just turning each of them on and making sure they ran, and then just getting ready, finishing rearranging everything and cleaning up, and then sitting down the next few days when I was on some downtime after doing what schoolwork I do have, and going through these blindly, basically, and just setting them up the way I wanted to be able to use them, especially now that I've got them nicely put under this table so I can swap them out whenever I want. And what's actually in there is, for the record, not an Athlon 2. It's an Athlon XP that barely functions, and I don't know what the deal is, but I'm going to try to fix it. That's one of my goals here. So, back to the 486. So, essentially, we're at a point in modern computing where there is almost nothing we can't emulate, whether it's used to be limited by power or just the knowledge we had of the architecture, virtualization technology that was available to us, anything like that. We're to a point where we can pretty much emulate every single era of PC gaming. So there's almost not a game on my shelf that I don't have a way of playing anymore. So my goal here is not to make a 486 gaming PC, or apply that to most of these. The only exception being the Athlon XP gaming machine, and I'll get to that. So, I rambled on here for 3 or 4 minutes, I think, just talking about my 2006 Mac Pro, and all I needed to say was that I got one.
I put a gaming graphics card in it, and I use it to play some old games from about mid to late 2000s under Windows XP and Windows 7. I did not need to talk about it for 3 to 4 minutes.
That comes back down to the Athlon XP gaming machine, which is just going to run in Windows XP. It's really just going to be for the fun of kind of having a less powerful Windows XP gaming machine, because of course I can run most Windows XP games on there, or on the Mac Pro. Any of them that might give me trouble because of a RAM amount issue, because 16 gigs of RAM actually gets mapped as 2 gigs under Windows XP 32-bit, but some games still freak out if it's more than 1. So that's not going to be equipped with any more than 512 megs. That is the only computer of this project that I'm actually going to be outfitting like a gaming PC. This video is not scripted, by the way. That's why I'm going all over the place. That's kind of just, that's how I operate. So, aside from that, going backwards in time from that, I have a Pentium 3 that I'm going to put a gaming graphics card in, but it's not necessarily really going to be focused on being a gaming PC so much as just a good Windows 98 machine. That's the goal there. Windows 98 2nd Edition, GeForce 5 series, just because I happen to have one. 256 or 512 megs of RAM or something, and I'm just going to run Windows 98 stuff on it. That's going to be the point of that machine. The Pentium 2, it's actually down. You wouldn't think it was a Pentium 2 aside from the 5.25-inch floppy drive on the front of it, but it's in that RAID Max gaming PC case down there that you probably saw a minute ago. The Pentium 2 is really not going to have much of a purpose. Its purpose will be just, I'm going to keep it set up in a way where I can write floppies with it if I want to write 5.25-inch floppies. There's an interesting story behind that machine that I will get to when I actually do my video on it. So, moving backwards even further, there's the Pentium 1. That is going to be Pentium 3 except Windows 95. That's going to be what that one is. It's got an S3 Verge DX in it, which can do some stuff. It's not crazy. I don't own like a Voodoo or anything that I can put in there. So, we're at a point where emulation is so good that there's almost no point in me setting things up for games, specifically. There's like not a gap in our emulation right now. So, for the purpose of games, I'm not going to worry about that. If I can get a game running on them, just the charm of it working is going to be fun, that's whatever. But if I'm actually going to get serious about trying to play a game, I'm going to be doing it in an emulator. So, again, Pentium 1 is just going to be running Windows 95 for the purpose of running Windows 95 and its software, just for fun. There's not going to be any purpose, it's not going to be purpose-built the way, if you go look at LGR's Wood Grain 486, he built that to play old games. He built it with a hardware set that works fantastic for a very large variety of DOS and Windows games. I'm not going to be doing that. Literally all these things are just going to be, it's kind of set up as a regular person's day-to-day machine, just for the fun of that. So, then we get down to the 486. There is really only one specific thing that I want to be able to do with it. Aside from that, it's going to be serving the same purpose as the Pentium 1 and the Pentium 3. That is, I went to a Goodwill Computer Works in the Dallas-Fort Worth area when I was going to my cousin's wedding about a year ago, and picked up complete in-box Creative Video Blaster. And if you don't know what this is a frame grabber card. This is not a video capture card. It just says as is $5, and the only ones of these that I can find for sale online are being sold for much more than that. So I don't know if they're actually worth that, or if people just try to get that for them, but I got it for $5. $5. And I don't know if it works. It says as is on it, but it's in an anti-static bag. The thing looks pristine. It literally, my mind was blown. It actually has the video card feature connector patch cable in there. That's one of the things that's commonly missing with frame grabber cards and like old 3D accelerators and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. I've got several VGA cards that will work with it, but the problem is, and thankfully I think it will actually work in my Pentium, it's just I would like to be able to use it with my 486 because it's kind of the one that is built more workstation-like, because I think it may have been used for audio recording or something at one point. I really don't know. But for a 486, it definitely had a massive hard drive when I got it. It was a 1.2 gig, I think, that somebody had added. And, of course, it was dead. If you go on my YouTube channel, look for the video called, like, "This hard drive evolved before my eyes" or something. It's that hard drive. But, yeah. So I was trying to get this running so I could, of course, use the frame grabber and just run Windows 3.1 software on it. And, well, I guess it's time for me to explain what it actually started doing. So, I plugged everything in, I turned it on, and the turbo light did not come on, and the hard drive did not spin up. So I was like, huh, that's weird. I hit the reset button, hard drive spun up, and then the turbo light came on. But we were still getting no output on the monitor, no PC speaker beeps, none of that. Nothing was happening. So I unplugged everything and I started just wiggling things around, trying to see if anything would work. None of that did any good. I started moving the expansion cards one by one. Nothing in there, turn it on, I get nothing. Not even like a... Normally, you instantly get some kind of beep just to tell you there's no video card. Something like that, you know? Didn't get that. Swapped the RAM modules around. Nothing changed. I took the CPU out and put it back in. Nothing changed. Eventually, I realized this system actually has a socketed CMOS battery. It's just a button cell, you know. One of these numbers. Actually, this isn't even the one I picked up earlier. It's dead too. Whatever. Okay. So anyway, there are now two. Don't try that at home, by the way. It's not a good idea. It's just I'm too lazy to grab my multimeter, and I'm gonna drop it twice. I've now got two of these bad boys dead on my desk. And yeah, I've already answered it, but CMOS battery was completely and totally dead. I licked it and did not get shocked. So I ran downstairs. I grabbed another CMOS battery. I guess it probably took me about 5 minutes or so to grab it. So by the time I came back upstairs, the CMOS memory, of course, was cleared. And I put the new battery in and turned it on and instantly got the no video card error. Perfect. I put everything back in, turn it on, and we were right back to nothing. New CMOS battery. It had just been working. I added all the hardware back, and now we have nothing. I don't know. It was very odd. So, once I got to this conclusion, I was just like, what am I even going to do now? I just kind of assumed it was broken at that point. But I started messing around a little more. I actually removed the expansion cards again, thinking that one of the expansion cards I put in caused the problem, and that was still messed up. Then I got the no video card error again after a little bit. So then I put everything back in again, turned it on, nothing. But this time, I just turned it off, waited a few seconds, I turned it back on, and I got a post beep and something on the monitor. I got a CMOS checksum error and a keyboard error. I forgot to plug the keyboard in. Whoops. And so I turned the computer off, plugged the keyboard in, turned it back on. I got a CMOS beep, got into the BIOS setup, set the clock, was going in and setting the floppy drive and hard drive settings, and the system locked up. So I hit the reset button. I went in there again. I managed to get out of the setup without locking it up this time, but this time it hung on the video BIOS screen, the thing that says Trident TVGA, whatever it says, something like that. So I hit reset again. This time I managed to get into an actual boot sequence, and it told me missing operating system. Well, crap, I configured the hard drive wrong, apparently, so I went back in there, picked the other option for auto-detect. I clearly was not using LBA mode on the hard drive when I originally set this up, so swapped that over. Then it boots. But this is where it gets interesting. The first time it hangs on HiMem is testing extended memory. So I didn't think anything of it because it's been hanging all over the place. Yeah, so it hung on the memory test. And I went ahead and hit reset again, of course. And when I reset the system, the second time around, what I was greeted with was this screen. Now, what that says is that the HiMem memory test actually found an error. I always assumed that it tested the extended memory for a reason, but I've never in my life actually seen an error. And then I went and showed it to my dad. He hasn't seen it either. So clearly it's not really that common for that memory test to actually find something, which leads me to believe there's probably something really wrong here. So that's where I stopped. I went and I grabbed me a bottle of water and the camcorder. I decided I'd film the rest of this. Now, I do apologize for not having a tripod at the moment. I could go get one, but this is a pretty impromptu video, so I didn't want to bother with it at the moment. This is a laser keyboard. Laser, you may know, is famous for creating the Laser 128 Apple II clone that was more popular than Apple's own Apple IIc of a similar size. So that's an interesting little tidbit, but they also made some XT clones and things like that, and this keyboard is delightfully clunky and mechanical. This rivals my Cherry MX Blue gaming keyboard in feel. I don't think I would prefer it for gaming, but for typing, actually maybe. This is a joy to type on, but the keys are a little too mushy for precise gaming inputs, I feel like. Also, this isn't a Windows key. This literally does nothing. I'm very confused by that, but as you can see over here, the backslash key is between Control and Alt for some reason, and it's got the big enter key, but also a big backspace key. Very weird design decision. Now, this Logitech mouse, I had been missing this for a long time, but I found it when I was cleaning. This is literally just a Microsoft-compatible mouse, nothing complicated, but it's actually very comfy, especially for an old mouse. These are typically, well, I don't know what happened to the Microsoft mouse, but computer mice in this day and age were often just awful, to be completely honest. They were weird shapes, like, oh, we're going to make it ergonomic, make you turn your head like this. I don't know. Thanks, Microsoft. But anyway, without further ado, because I have rambled on long enough, let's turn the machine on and see what explodes. Listen to this hard drive. Delightful. Anyway, autofocus is having trouble finding something to focus on. I think we're stuck in macro mode. That was weird. Alright. So, here we are booting. Maybe. But probably not, if I'm being completely honest with you. Sorry, what? We didn't have any problems that time. And we're not locked up yet. That's an interesting turn of events. We're still not locked up. Okay, so in that case, what is on this machine? Mist is on this machine. I have my CD around here somewhere. That might be a good test. But let's go ahead and boot up Windows. That is a horrific refresh rate. Where is our... My gosh. What is this refresh? 72 hertz? Okay, so, I am so sorry for how bad this is. I'm gonna probably knock this down to regular VGA resolution to try to fix this. Okay, we are now at a gentle 60 hertz, which actually might be better if I turn the light off. I honestly have never recorded a CRT with this camera before, to be completely honest with you. I think this may be my first real YouTube video being recorded with this camera. So the problem there was, as I'm sure you could tell, that this... Okay. I'm not sure what's wrong, but the Super VGA mode on this machine drives it at 72 hertz for some reason, which this monitor can display, but that this camera cannot really record. Now, we're hung up again. Control-Delete is almost certainly not going to do anything. Yep. What is this little, like, black line over here? Okie doke. Okay, so we're still having problems, for sure. Alright, reset. See if we can make it back into Windows. Now understand, we know it's not a virtual memory problem because we've been having problems under DOS as well. If we were having virtual memory problems, I would honestly just have assumed that there was a hard drive problem. Are we hung again? We are indeed hung again. Oh, to be hung again. That sounded really emo. That's not really what I was meaning at all. Okay. So, in that case, we're going to turn this light back on, and I'm going to go ahead and, that may be the most interesting thing that's happened so far. I didn't touch anything, but the screen blanked. So, maybe this problem lies deeper than a memory controller, or, excuse me, not memory controller, memory problem. We are, man, this thing's a trooper. It's still coming back up every single time. Gonna mash numlock here and see when it crashes. If it does this time, it may not. Yeah, of course it didn't. Didn't find an error either. We had the pop of the audio card initializing again. We're gonna get into Windows, it seems. Again, I'm sorry for this terrible refresh rate. I'm wondering if there's a setting on the camera that I can change to make this a little better, but what I want to do is I want to play some MIDI files. If we have any on here, I may not. I may need to copy some from the Pentium. Sure used to, though. Maybe that was on the last hard drive, though. I know I've replaced this hard drive, so... At the moment, we're fine. Let's go ahead and exit Windows. Actually, I'm going to arrange these icons first. See, at the moment, we are just fine. Now, here in a few moments, I'm sure we won't be. Mem. I don't remember if there's a memory test function. Is it like mem test? Test mem? No, I have absolutely no clue. Any like diagnostic DOS commands, honestly. So, I'm gonna get to work on possibly trying to run memtest 86 on this thing. Well, that's not really gonna do anything though. It's gonna keep freezing. So, now one thing I'm curious about though is we're currently not frozen. If I stomp the floor, we're now frozen. No, I thought maybe it was physical shock. I really wasn't entirely sure. It's worth a shot. So then, we're going to go ahead and just turn this thing off. I'm going to... Okay, so there's 32 megs of RAM in there right now that I've pulled from another machine at some point, I do believe. I have 12 megs right here that I'm going to try to put in there. These 12 megs would have come in this machine when I got it, I do believe. So there is a chance that this will solve all of our problems, but I just don't know. Okay, so if you look right there, I've now installed the 12 megs of RAM. Now, one thing I'm a little concerned about that I hadn't thought of before is that maybe the jumper settings on this board are set for that RAM, and I needed to change the memory timings to swap it. I don't know when I swapped that RAM. I don't know if I really used this machine when I had it in here. But let's see if the machine posts now. Yeah, turn it on. There is our memory count. As you can see, it is 12 megabytes. Memory test shouldn't take near as long. We might be in the clear now. I really couldn't tell you for sure yet. Seems fine so far. Let's go ahead and get into Windows here. There are our audio settings. Now, have I installed anything? I really haven't installed much of anything. I've installed the Museum of Anything Goes and Myst. That's it. That's all I've got on here. And all the MediaVision stuff that came with the sound card. Sorry, camera keeps drooping. So, okay, that's quite a large window there, buddy. See if we can get that to a little more reasonable of a size. There we go. I can't play CDs because I don't have the right cable for this sound card, so if I played a CD, just nothing would come out, honestly. But there's maybe something I can do? I don't know. What I want to do is I want to play in MIDI, because I feel like if it crashes while it's playing in MIDI, that will be funny, at least. So the best that I've got is for me to write a copy of Plop Bootloader to a floppy disk and run it on this machine so that I can boot Ultimate Boot CD and run memtest 86. I could also just write memtest 86, but having a copy of Plop on a floppy disk would be very useful. So, not entirely sure what that entails. I guess first things first. Well, actually, I wonder. There you are, buddy. Now, I don't know what kind of hardware is in this machine or if it is even set up, but if it is, that could be a very hassle-free way getting something set up, because I know it can access the internet, even if it's going to be a very old version of the web browser. So I can hook it up over here and we'll be fine. We'll be good to go. So, Guess we'll do that and see what the heck we get. Well, here we have what appears to be a complete system build. Probably the Core 2 Duo in here, but if you look right there, we are entirely missing a graphics card. So, and I don't even know if there's a hard drive in here. There's no hard drive. That's not much good to us. Okay, I'm going to run and get, I think I have a, my little Dell Inspiron, like, small form factor machine might do the trick. I've got a few machines with built-in floppy drives that can probably get on the modern internet, but that's the best bet. So I ended up not going with the Inspiron 530S because it occurred to me that I would have to drag out a USB keyboard and mouse for that machine, and I didn't want to do that. And also, I had no idea if there was even an operating system installed on the thing. So rather than do that, I grabbed our good old Dell Precision Workstation 360. This is probably from about 2004. It's ridiculously outfitted. It came with a Quadro graphics card in it. Can't remember for the life of me which one, but it came with one of them. 2 gigs of ECC DDR1, a 3.2 gigahertz Pentium 4 HT using the Northwood core. That's one of the fastest Northwood Pentium 4s out there, and it's let's just say that's one of the ones that does not run quite as hot. It's kind of that sweet spot. It doesn't support SSE 3 or 64-bit instructions, but it's a very good chip. Now, you might notice the MIDI interface on there. Well, that's just because I used this machine in one of my less than totally inspired Instagram videos recently. And, yeah, it's a video where I plugged a computer into a guitar pedal, specifically a very ridiculous distortion guitar pedal. When my friends were over, and we had it outputting to an old bass amp. It was real dumb. But anyway, we're going to use it to break one of the cardinal sins of IT, which is we're going to connect a computer running an operating system that's, like, been unsupported for the last 6 years. We're going to go ahead and connect this machine to the internet. As you can see, the long Ethernet cable plugged in here. Go ahead and turn it on. Man, that hard drive screams. Also, this machine happens to have the video card in it that I want to use in my Athlon XP. Honestly, I have considered just using this machine as the gaming PC because it is significantly faster than the Athlon XP, but where's the fun in that, am I right? Now, I don't know if this 9-pin serial mouse is going to be working immediately. That it is not. I'm going to have to log into Windows and get it set up, I think. Is there a password? There is certainly a password. I'll get it eventually. That's not it. That's it. Alright, we got it. It's singing to us. Alright, this is going to be a trick, because navigating Windows XP without a mouse or a Windows key is not particularly easy. Oh, never mind, it's working now. Thought I was going to have to go into Device Manager. Alright, we've got a mouse. Why are you going out of focus? Anyway. Could not reconnect on network drives, whatever. We are connected to interwebs. And it went away before you could see it. Alright. Kind of hardware rocking in this thing. We've got a 37, oh wow, we're running a 40 gig drive in this thing. Okay, the reason you keep going out of focus is because the refresh rate is completely wrong, I do believe. We're at 75 hertz. Well, it's at least better than 72, apparently. Alright, well, now that we've explored this machine a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and go find a copy of Plop Bootloader and try to write it to a floppy. Alright, so here we have a couple of floppy disks I don't care about. Here we have the files we need. Actually, let me close Firefox so that we aren't starving this poor machine of resources. Here, let's just see how much we are using. Now, actually, these aren't very complicated websites, I guess. We're sitting right at 500 megs of physical memory usage and not much CPU. Alright, not bad. Go and close Firefox, though. Alright. Camera has completely lost focus again. Let's focus on something in the distance. It's like reducing eye strain. So I don't care about these discs. I don't know what they were for. They probably came with some piece of hardware. We are going to go ahead and open not Windows Media Player. That's not what I meant to do at all. Alright, we're going to go ahead and open the image we need and WinImage here. I get it, I'm in an evaluation version. Alright, and this is just Plop Bootloader. We're going to write this. What? I'm sorry. We don't... What? Okay, I'm gonna have to reboot the system, go into the BIOS, I think. I don't know what the deal is here. There's no floppy drive. Why, though? Sure are installed now, you little hecker. Well, guys, I figured it out, and now I feel really dumb. Yeah, so, the Sound Blaster Live drive requires a floppy disk drive power connector. And, that's why it was disabled. Because it wasn't plugged in. So when I got back into... Well, actually, I didn't even get all the way into the operating system. I, just got to the BIOS screen where it said Diskette Drive 0 Seek Failure. And I realized what the problem was. Well, now it's right. And we're going to get back in there. We are finally writing the stinking floppy. Oh my gosh. So now I'm going to write the Plop Bootloader floppy, and then I'm going to write onto this one. I'm just going to write straight up memtest86. Well, memtest86 plus, excuse me. Just in case that boot feature doesn't work. I also don't even know if that CD-ROM drive I have on that machine will read a burned CD, honestly. Some of them won't. It's only... I want to say it's a quad-speed drive. You can see there. It's actually like the exact drive that was one of the Apple CD Plus models. That's in one of my Macs. So that's kind of funny. Dude. It's getting late. Like, it's getting pretty late. I did not even intend to be working on this late. Really, I wanted to clean my room more and get rid of that mess. And maybe try to fix some of this. I was actually going to move that monitor over to this table and maybe even get the keyboard tray fixed. There were a lot of other things I was going to do today, and then I started doing computer stuff for the first time in a while. Oh boy. Okay, 486 is hooked back up. One of those discs was bad. So that was kind of funny. That was a sealed installation disc for a product I did not need, and one of the discs was bad. Kind of humorous. We're going to go and put the bootloader disc in here. I think I just got a text message, or maybe I imagined it. Definitely imagined it. Okay. We're going to turn this thing on. Hopefully it will post. Okay, it is. I don't know what's going to happen. There we go. We have reached display mode. I didn't even know this machine was capable of, so that's kind of cool. So, we are going to go ahead and put Ultimate Boot CD in here and see what the heck happens. Actually, this machine has to be able to read burned discs because it read the Museum of Anything Goes, which I don't know of a single person in the world who has a physical copy of that. Alright, now we're going to go to CD-ROM. I am shocked. It's having some trouble with this disc, but something's happening. There we go. Memory. MemTest 86 Plus. Honestly, I'm only doing it this way because I wanted to see it work. And the PC just rebooted. Okay, well, when in doubt, just boot MemTest 86 Plus from a floppy. We're gonna go ahead and pull this. And we have rebooted again. Okay, so I'm gonna take that to mean that MemTest 86 Plus does not support 486s. So we're going to try regular MemTest 86. If that still doesn't work, then I'll try like Windows NT Memory Diagnostic or something. I don't know. Oh. I wonder what options we have here. Can't save changes, that's fine. What display options do we have? Display modes we can't use. Okay, that's funny. Starfield, yes or no, and that does not seem to be changing anything. The Starfield thing we're seeing is just my graphics card being terrible. That's kind of humorous. Anyway. It's a Matsushita CD-ROM drive. I didn't even know that. It seems like maybe the video card just isn't well isolated in this machine. And this is just some weird interference. CD not... yeah, my rear end, dude. Yeah, this just needs to be cleaned. I don't know. It is pretty scratched up. I'll give it that. I don't know if you can see that, but it's been put into one of those aluminum iMacs that just destroys discs as it slides in sometimes. The system still hasn't frozen again since I've swapped the RAM out. We are booting this time. It's still not having a fun time. Might need to swap the CD-ROM drive out in this thing once all is said and done. Memory. And this just... there we go. MemTest 86. Not plus. We're just gonna go default. We rebooted again. Oh my gosh, what is the deal here? Alright, I'm gonna turn the camera off because I'm running out of battery at this point. So I think I've determined that all my memory testing tools just don't work on the 486. If you'll notice though, although we're hung up, the system isn't actually hard locked. So what I think I'm going to have to do is put the RAM in the Pentium and test it over there. So, gonna do that. And we'll see what the heck happens. It is weird, like it seems very stable now that I put the 12 megs back in. So here is the Pentium open. I've actually been using it a little bit today, so I know it's running. I haven't opened it though, so the first time I've seen the inside in a while. As you can see, much simpler. We've just got Sound Blaster All64 and a PCI S3 Verge DX. Those are the only expansion cards this machine has. Got a little bitty Cooltech fan over the Pentium MMX 200. That's about all it's got. This is a PM 9600 board. It's very cheap. It's very cheap, but it's got some interesting things going for it. It actually supports probably like PC100 SD RAM for some reason. I don't know why. It's got the slots there though. That's definitely what they are. And then it's of course got regular sims. What's more is it is an ATX board. As you can see, it's got baby AT and ATX support. So if I can get my better Pentium board to work, it's a better quality board that's a little older, I might put this board in an ATX case and just kind of see what happens. I don't know for sure what would happen. It's kind of interesting that it's got that support. But anyway, so here is the 32 megs of RAM. Gonna put it in there and we'll see what the heck happens. Alright, I'm gonna have to try to make this quick as possible because I'm starting to run out of battery, but here we are hooked up. Really wasn't planning on featuring this machine until later, but oh well. Got 32 megs. Takes a bit to try to boot from the CD-ROM drive. There we go. Memory, memtest 86 plus. I've already run this on this computer, so I know it works. And there we go. Should be starting. Now, no clue what might show up here, but we will see soon enough. Well, so all of the memory passed the test. So either there is something wrong with the 486, or the memory was configured incorrectly. There's really no other options. I don't know what it could be, but the Pentium 1 doesn't need to be in this video anymore. So I'm probably going to boot this thing back up and just... Actually, wait, I need the MIDI files. We're turning this back on. Well, actually, I'm putting the right RAM back in it, but then I'm turning it back on. Getting my MIDI files. We're going to mess with that for a little bit. As for future videos, what I'm probably going to end up doing is getting a tripod and pointing at this TV and hooking up the computers to it. That way, it's easy to record what the computers are doing without any expensive capture hardware, and you don't have to, get a seizure. Okay, so we're back here again, and things seem mostly stable. Now, I have been able to play MIDI, but this has a very unusual sounding MIDI synth. This is a MediaVision Thunderboard. This is not a Sound Blaster 16 like most of my old computers. Or more like just most old computers, to be completely honest with you. Just listen to these instruments. Something sounds weird to me. skip ahead a little bit. Got loud. So, if you look at the sound device, it is a Voyatra OPL3 FM synth. It's not the same brand of FM synth that a Sound Blaster uses. Sound Blasters use Yamaha chips, if I'm not mistaken. This is definitely not a Yamaha chip, unless I'm stupid and that's just a different name for the same thing, which is entirely possible. But something is weird to me. Now, I don't know where my... Never mind. My missed CD is right there. Let me just kind of get to it real quick. And I'll put that in and we can try it. Oh, please. I don't want it to rain zip discs right now. Okay, there we go. Honestly, I may put a Sound Blaster 16 in here just because this MediaVision card seems to be causing me more trouble than it's worth. Especially with the lack of CD audio capability. So, it's got a SCSI controller on it, but that seems mostly useless to me. So I may just start this whole thing over using a Sound Blaster 16. Now, I don't know what the heck this crap is. Run software, missed. It's going to tell me, and yeah. Okay, we're going to switch the graphics driver over. I do apologize in advance for your eyes. This is a slow graphics card, as I'm sure you can tell. Also, I don't know why it changes the palette colors, but it does. Never get tired of that, man. Oh, wow, it is drawing the screen very slow. Yeah, this is like almost not acceptable. Like, there are transition effects, even though the transition effects are turned off. CD drive is behaving correctly now, though. Wowie zowie, that did a whole lot of nothing. I don't remember all the puzzles here. I remember most of them. But, anyway, now we're getting off track. Yeah, anyway. Yeah, this machine is a very slow VGA card. I don't know if it'd be faster if I switched drivers, but... Anyway, it's about time that I should be going to bed. have schoolwork that I need to be doing tomorrow. Among other things, like cleaning up this mess. So, yeah, time for me to go. So, if you couldn't stand this video, well, you know where the button for that is. But if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate a like, because almost nobody ever rates my videos anyway. And, I'd say subscribe for more content, but I have a very erratic upload schedule, and honestly, you'd probably subscribe and never get a notification again. You can still do that if you want to, though. But, most importantly, leave a comment, if you so happen to have one. And that CPU fan was sure growling near the end there. I wonder if it's going bad. So just an update. I was trying to play Myst for a few minutes just for fun, and I would run the game in Windows and get kicked back to the DOS prompt with the sound card's like audio buffer just looping. And happened more than once. I turned the computer off, I turned it back on, and we are actually having this problem again, with the 12 megs of RAM installed, mind you. So, yeah, I really am not sure what's going on here. It's not the sound card. It's not any component that's removable, unless it's the CPU. That is the only other option, because these problems have been happening with nothing installed. Just to clarify, if I hit reset, computer of course comes right back to life, but I don't know if it'll boot. In other news, I won't be making the video on the Video Blaster frame grabber because, although I have all of the software, and I have the patch cable, and all of the manuals and everything, I'm missing the single most important piece of the puzzle. Okay, maybe not the single most important piece. I think the most important piece would be the card itself, which I do have, and it's the size of my R9 390, by the way. Without exaggeration, that is literally the size of my R9 390. But if you look on the back here, we get two VGA-ish ports. Now, I don't know if they're VGA pin compatible or not. I guess they probably are. So, basically this is supposed to come with, I guess you'd call them like a sort of a pigtail type thing. I should not be trying to do this with one hand. And if you look on the back here, see, there it is. It's a little pigtail breakaway thing that's supposed to let you connect composite devices. But the other thing I wanted to mention is this has to work. This has to go in either the super finicky 486. It probably won't end up doing that because golly gee, this thing is not functioning. Or it will have to go on my Pentium with the RAM reduced, and of course running Windows 3.1. Because if you look there, all we've got, it says multi-sync monitor running 50 to 70 hertz horizontal scanning rate of about 31.5 kilohertz. I have no idea about any of that crap, but this is a very, very good multi-sync monitor. It's a Sync Master Dynaflat. But it's very, very picky about what you can do, or what computer you can use it on. So that not more than 15 megs of system RAM, and it requires 640 by 480, which honestly, it requiring 480 is probably just a technological limitation, but the not more than 15 megs of RAM thing, that's weird. So, you gotta have a very small amount of RAM in there. And, yeah, I don't even know how a lot of this stuff works. I don't think it would work under Windows 95 unless I found, scoured the internet and found some updated drivers for it. It's, yeah, I definitely need to be doing this on a machine that works. It's sad that my 486 is kicking the bucket, it would seem, but, you know, what can you do, right? Not a lot. So, I guess all of this hardware will be going in the Pentium 1, and as long as I can find an S3 Verge, either I found an S3 Verge Windows 3.1 driver, or I tracked down my Trident PCI card, or I could probably use this piece of trash in there, I guess, but I don't know why I would want to. Whatever I do. I just hope that all goes well. It actually might be nice to know if I use this terrible Trident graphics card in there, if it would start working normally. See, right now the system's working fine. It just kind of intermittently does crazy stuff. So strange. Anyway, for real this time, guys, it is... What time is it? I know how we can find out. That's not the right program group. I cannot use computers with my left hand. Alright. Clock. Okay. Why are you messing with my icons? Clock. So guys, it is 1:26 a.m. About to be 1:22 a.m. on April 13th of 1998, clearly. The real reason I did that was just because the day of the week would be the same. This is not a Y2K compliant BIOS, if that tells you how cheap this motherboard is. Apparently I just have cheap motherboards everywhere. It does have some VLB connectors down there for graphics acceleration and stuff like that, but that's about all it's got going for it. But yeah, it's getting super late, and I should not still be messing with this piece of trash. In case y'all were wondering, just for the sake of completing the video, there's your version information before I kill this thing. Yeah. Dude, I am going to bed now. I cannot stay up anymore. Well, I say I'm going to bed now. I'm going to clean up. I'm going to put these things back together, then go to bed.